my good side.
Just keep them in your prayers, you know.
Hey, don't be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's.
Nobody ever thought they'd see Lil Nas X end up in a Los Angeles jail cell, let alone facing real time. But after pulling off this wild stunt, his freedom is hanging by a thread. The real shock isn't just the arrest, it's how far off the rails his behavior went. Here's how it all played out. It was barely sunrise on August 21st, 2025, when Los Angeles police started getting frantic calls about a man walking through Studio City wearing nothing but underwear and a pair of old, beat-up cowboy boots. At that moment, nobody on that dispatch line realized they were about to cuff one of the biggest music stars on the planet. Witnesses say the scene on Ventura Boulevard was total madness from the start. Drivers were slamming brakes, pedestrians were screaming, and people were pulling out phones trying to figure out if this was a publicity stunt or some secret music video gone too far. But nope, this wasn't promo, it was Montero himself spiraling in front of everyone. TMZ even got hold of exclusive footage that shows just how extreme his actions were. The clips don't lie. His behavior looked completely out of control, leaving fans stunned and insiders whispering that this wasn't just a stunt, it was a serious meltdown. The clip shows Lil Nas X wandering the streets like he was lost in another world, randomly singing at the top of his lungs and obsessively begging strangers to come to some mysterious party that only existed in his mind. The most chilling part, watching him slam a traffic cone on his head like it was some kind of twisted crown. It's hard to watch without feeling uneasy. He looked completely disconnected from reality, and the footage captured those exact moments where his awareness flickered in and out. 1 second, he was strutting with that same superstar energy way, and the very next, he was begging people to stop filming, almost like he suddenly realized how vulnerable and exposed he really looked. People on the street were frozen. Nobody knew what to do. Some thought about calling 911, others just kept recording, and a few even debated stepping in, but all of them were staring at what looked like a celebrity hitting rock bottom in broad daylight. Things took a terrifying turn when police finally rolled up. Instead of calming down or explaining himself, reports say Montero suddenly lunged at the officers like he was out of control, unable to tell the difference between folks trying to help and people he thought were against him. Witnesses said it was chaos, like watching someone fighting shadows only he could see. Paramedics quickly stepped in, and that's when the situation got even darker. They suspected he might be in the middle of a dangerous overdose, forcing them to rush him into emergency care before the cops could even process him. The hospital kept him for hours, running every test you can imagine, toxicology screens, neurological checks, the whole nine, trying to figure out what pushed Lil Nas X into such an extreme meltdown. Once doctors finally cleared him, the law wasted no time. He was hauled straight over to Valley Jail in Van Nuys, his first ever experience inside a real correctional facility. And the irony hit hard. This is the same artist who once joked about jail time over those infamous Satan shoes, now actually locked behind bars with felony charges looming over him. Sources say the initial booking shook him to his core. He looked stunned, like he couldn't process how his world flipped upside down in just a matter of hours. Because of his fame, the jail put him under strict celebrity protocol. Heavy security, total isolation from the general population, and non-stop documentation of every move. This wasn't your typical arrest. This was a Grammy-winning superstar getting fingerprinted, photographed, and branded with an inmate number. When prosecutors finally filed charges on August 25th, they came swinging hard. 4 separate felony counts slammed onto the docket, 3 for battery causing injury to police officers, and 1 for resisting arrest. Each charge alone carries up to 3 years in prison, which means if he's convicted on everything, Lil Nas X could be staring down more than a decade behind bars. That's not just career-threatening, that's life-altering for someone who just turned 26. California does not play when it comes to assaulting law enforcement. These aren't some minor slaps on the wrist. These are felonies that come with mandatory prison time. Prosecutors weren't shy either. They reviewed the footage, the police statements, and made it clear they were chasing the maximum penalty.
First of all, you're gay. You're automatically going to hell. Second of all, this not okay. It's just not okay, bro. It's just not okay. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro. Listen, this not it. This really not it, bro. Like, I got a lot of people that are very close to me in my chat, and we not rocking with this. It's super disrespectful. It's wrong. And yeah, burn, baby, burn. Like, who laughed at this, bro? Like, who's liking this? Like, bro, like, who the like, TikTok, you should have just been take this.
And here's the wild twist. Legal experts are saying his celebrity actually hurts him here. Prosecutors love to prove they won't give stars special treatment, so they push cases like this even harder to make an example. That tension exploded in court during his arraignment. Standing in front of a superior court judge, Montero pled not guilty to every single charge, while his brand new defense lawyer scrambled to keep control of the media frenzy that was shaking the courtroom. The bail hearing quickly turned into a war. Prosecutors demanded $300,000 cash, while the defense begged for something lighter. Because of his strong community ties and no prior criminal record, the judge eventually set bail at $75,000. Still, a heavy hit that showed the court wasn't taking any chances with flight risk or public safety. On top of that, the release came with strict conditions. He had to enroll in mandatory substance abuse programs and report regularly to probation officers. Those requirements made it clear the court believed there were deeper issues fueling his wild behavior and shocking arrest. And while the legal system did its thing, social media blew up like wildfire. Fans were flooding timelines with prayers, love, and messages of support, while critics used the meltdown as proof that his controversial artistry was catching up to him. The divide was massive. One half seeing a young star in crisis, the other half painting him as reckless and out of control. Then, just when things couldn't get any crazier, new surveillance footage surfaced. Security cameras from a Hollywood hotel showed him roaming the property almost 15 hours before the Ventura Boulevard chaos. Surveillance clips revealed even more disturbing details. Lil Nas X stripping down, chugging water nonstop, and wandering like he had no idea where he even was, despite not being a guest at the hotel. Staff said he looked completely lost, asking strange questions about why he was there in the first place. The timeline shows this wasn't some sudden flip. It was a slow, messy unraveling that built up for hours before exploding into that street confrontation with police. That left everyone wondering, what actually triggered this breakdown? And could somebody have stepped in earlier before things spiraled out of control? Because this isn't just another tabloid headline. Legally, this is his first time facing real criminal charges, and the stakes are massive. This is a whole different level from his old Nike Satan Shoes trademark drama. Back then, a settlement wrapped it up. But felonies? These can follow him for life, hitting everything from touring overseas to keeping certain business licenses. Behind the scenes, industry insiders are whispering that the arrest might be tied to career stress boiling over. His recent drops didn't hit the same numbers as Old Town Road or Industry Baby, and rumors have been swirling about whether his star power is fading.
I do apologize for that. I will say I am sorry for that. That was overboard. Though I don't agree with all of Christianity's rules or whatnot. Hello, everybody. I wanted to not necessarily apologize, but I wanted to explain. I'm not the first person to dress up as Jesus. I'm not the first rapper. I'm not the first artist, and I won't be the last. And I know, like, given my history with, the Call Me By Your Name video, anything that I do related to religion can be seen as like mockery. That just was not the case with this.
Imagine the pressure, trying to outdo your own cultural shocks while the industry keeps questioning your relevance. Now that we've broken down how Montero ended up behind bars, it's time to rewind and look at the controversies that paved the road to this crash. Every scandal, every moral outrage, every firestorm he sparked, they all stacked up like dominoes, leading to a fall the world never thought they'd actually witness. Lil Nas X built an empire by flipping outrage into chart-topping wins, but that same playbook may have been eating away at him until it finally tore him apart. The spark that lit his reputation as the king of shock was his unapologetic masterpiece of provocation, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. That wasn't just a music video, it was a direct challenge to the cultural gatekeepers. He danced on a pole to hell and gave Satan the kind of seduction scene that had conservative audiences foaming with rage. Every second of that video was crafted to shock, offend, and dominate headlines. And it worked. But he didn't stop there. He doubled down with one of the most infamous merchandise drops in music history. Partnering with the art collective MSCHF, he unleashed the limited edition Satan shoes, customized Nike Air Max sneakers dripping with symbolism, pentagrams, and even drops of human blood sealed inside the soles. Only 666 pairs existed, each priced at $1,018, and they sold out instantly while sending church leaders and parents into total meltdown. That move perfectly summed up Montero's formula, mixing blasphemy with capitalism, provoking moral outrage while cashing in big. The cultural backlash was immediate and brutal. Conservative voices like Candace Owens went full attack mode, accusing Lil Nas X of corrupting black youth and tearing down traditional family values. Religious leaders launched boycotts, politicians jumped in with fiery condemnations, and Nike themselves rushed to court with a lawsuit to distance their brand from the infamous shoe drop.
Make sure I have fun this time around. I don't think I got to have as much fun during the Montero era because I was more overly focused on, I don't know, making sure the songs did well than making sure I was like having fun doing, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I didn't have any fun. I had some fucking fun, okay? But I want this time around to be even more fun, and I want to be like even more full of joy, and I want to be even more full of love, and I want to go out here in this world, and I want to wave my hands in the sky and move about freely, and that's what the Dream Boy era is gonna be.
But here's the wild part. Every angry sermon, every tweet dripping with outrage, every politician wagging a finger only fueled his rise. The more they screamed, the bigger his numbers grew. The outrage didn't just expose offense over a music video, it cracked open deep cultural fault lines in America around race, religion, sexuality, and who gets to control the narrative. His response? Pure Montero, unapologetic and defiant. He trolled his critics with mock apologies that cut straight into clips of him grinding on Satan, basically throwing their anger right back in their faces and showing them it only made him stronger. And the numbers backed it all up. Montero, Call Me By Your Name, shot straight to #1 on Billboard, racking up over 100 million views in just weeks. Meanwhile, those Satan shoes sold out instantly, flipping into collector's items worth thousands. But Lil Nas X didn't stop there. The provocations only got louder. His J. Christ era became his boldest and most controversial move yet, with album artwork showing him nailed to a cross like Jesus himself. The visuals didn't hold back. Music videos overflowing with biblical symbols reimagined through a queer lens, sparking both praise for creativity and outrage for blasphemy. Even the title track was dedicated to Jesus Christ as the man with the greatest comeback of all time, a mix of spiritual curiosity and straight-up calculated shock. The promotion went even further. Social media clips of him dressed as Christ while sipping communion wine, fake college acceptance letters from conservative Christian schools, and a full-blown campaign painting him as a kind of modern-day savior figure. To fans, it was bold art, but to critics, it was pure disrespect. The communion stunt especially lit a firestorm, with believers furious that something they see as sacred was turned into an entertainment prop. The backlash hit fever pitch. Boycott calls, prayer rallies, even church leaders declaring spiritual warfare against his influence. It wasn't just controversy anymore. Some claimed it was blasphemy pushed past the breaking point. Even big names chimed in. Twitch streamer Kai exploded in a viral rant about divine retribution, echoing the fury across religious circles who swore Montero had gone too far.
And I will say though, with the communion video, with me eating the crackers and juice, I thought that video was gonna be the video to lighten the mood, to take it down like less serious or whatnot. I thought that was something that we all wanted to do as kids or whatnot, but I didn't understand the idea of, the reality of what it is. It's me eating the communion, which is like the symbolism of like Jesus's blood and bones or something.
For the first time, the backlash actually seemed to break through his armor. Lil Nas X, usually known for trolling his critics without remorse, surprised everyone by issuing public apologies. He admitted that some of his J. Christ promo had crossed lines, a rare sign that even he saw there were limits to how far viral shock could go. It marked a sharp contrast from his usual defiance and hinted at the toll this endless cycle of controversy was taking on him mentally. But then came another firestorm, this time involving the transgender community. In March 2023, he made a poorly timed joke about gender transition surgery, right when anti-trans laws were spreading across the country. Instead of laughs, it sparked outrage from LGBT+ advocates who had expected more sensitivity from someone celebrated as a queer trailblazer. His response only poured gasoline on the flames. Instead of listening, he brushed off activists with dismissive comments, which opened the door for harassment campaigns aimed at community organizers. The whole thing exposed how his old internet troll instincts sometimes clashed with the responsibility of being seen as a voice for marginalized people. Even when he circled back with an apology, it rang hollow compared to the immediate harm already done, especially since his fan base had piled onto critics in ways that made things worse. And while all this was unfolding, he was still battling another layer of pain, the homophobia he'd faced for years. Rapper Boosie's now deleted tweet suggesting he should harm himself showed the darkest, most toxic edge of hip-hop's rejection of his identity, leaving scars that no apology could erase. These weren't just professional criticisms. They were personal attacks on his right to exist as a queer artist in a genre built on masculinity. Even industry ties strained, like his clashes with BET after they questioned if he was a Satanist following his award show performance.
A lot of y'all, y'all should be happy I'm gay, because I would take all very easily.
It showed that even supportive institutions were uneasy with his provocative style, leaving him more isolated than ever. His controversies followed a cycle: shocking content, massive backlash, bold clapbacks, quick chart spikes, then fading buzz. As audiences grew numb, critics noted how heavily he leaned on shock value instead of music itself, questioning if his artistry could stand without outrage. Pushing it, the toll was visible online. His posts grew paranoid, defensive, and conflicted, trapped between authenticity and industry pressure. The once fearless troll of conservative America started to look like a man suffocated by his own brand. Even worse, his most recent release, J. Christ, fell flat. Despite the usual provocative rollout, it debuted poorly compared to earlier hits, showing fans might have moved on or grown tired of the same controversy-driven formula. From chart topper to cautionary tale, Lil Nas X's collapse didn't happen overnight, but the warning signs were always there. Montero Lamar Hill's journey from viral genius to courtroom defendant is one of the most dramatic implosions in recent pop culture history. To understand the fall, you have to look at the cracks that were forming from the very start. Born in suburban Georgia to a musically rooted family, with gospel-singing relatives soundtracking his childhood, young Montero seemed destined for greatness. But beneath that promise were early struggles with identity, sexuality, and family dynamics, fractures that later exploded into public meltdowns. As a teen, he sharpened his skills online, running a Nicki Minaj stan account where he mastered trolling, memes, and viral manipulation. After a short-lived stint in college, he dropped out, surviving on fast food and theme park jobs while secretly crafting the track that would flip his life upside down. That song, of course, was Old Town Road. Its blend of country twang and trap swagger didn't just break through.
Hotbox is coming next. Fairly soon. I'm not gonna give you guys a date. I'm gonna announce it when I announce the date, okay? But I need you guys to stick beside me. We are fucking coming. Monterage, we are coming. I have the songs. I have the fucking music.
It dominated Billboard for 19 straight weeks, shattered streaming records, and forced the industry to rethink genre boundaries. The Billy Ray Cyrus remix turned Old Town Road into a cultural earthquake, blasting across country and hip-hop, hitting diamond certification, scooping Grammys, and cementing Lil Nas X as a master at flipping culture into commercial gold. But that record-breaking success set a trap. When your debut is the biggest hit of the decade, every release after gets compared to an impossible standard. The pressure to repeat viral magic while proving himself as a serious artist was crushing, especially for someone still figuring out who he was personally and professionally. His decision to publicly come out during Pride Month 2019 was bold and groundbreaking. He became the first openly gay black rapper to hit mainstream superstardom. It opened doors for LGBTQ plus visibility. But it also made him a lightning rod for homophobic attacks from both industry vets and conservative critics. The bravery deserves recognition, but the nonstop scrutiny left scars. He once admitted that as a teen, he even prayed his feelings were just a phase, proof of the shame and confusion that haunted him before he embraced authenticity. His shift from closeted self-doubt to bold, queer visibility wasn't slow, and it was explosive, almost like overcompensation. Each performance became more extreme, more provocative, and more unapologetic. His Montero album marked both his creative peak and the start of commercial decline, debuting at #2 on Billboard with hits like Industry Baby. The project showed real growth. Tracks about fame, sexuality, mental health, and religious trauma earned him critical respect and silenced the one-hit wonder label. But even at that high point, cracks showed in his personal life. His romance with dancer Yaya Rizza, from their viral B Awards kiss to their messy breakup, revealed how hard it was for him to keep real intimacy alive under the glare of fame. Insiders say that collapse, his most serious relationship yet, left him even more isolated. Meanwhile, industry ties kept unraveling as his stunts grew riskier but less profitable. His long-lived Montero tour sold out with rave reviews for its theatrical vision, yet streaming numbers dipped and radio support dried up. The gap between stage triumphs and digital struggles exposed how his audience was shifting. Even controversial singles like J. Christ lit up social media, but fizzled on the charts, proof that shock value alone was no longer enough to keep his empire afloat. As audiences grew tired of his shock tactics or shifted to newer artists using the same playbook, the returns kept shrinking. That decline likely fed into the crisis that ended with his arrest. His struggles in love only deepened the spiral. He once admitted to putting romance on hold to chase career success, a choice that left him isolated and vulnerable. In a 2021 GQ interview about his breakup with Arisa, he revealed rare vulnerability, showing just how deeply intimacy and trust were issues for him. Even his documentary projects couldn't hide the cracks. Long Live Montero gave glimpses into his family ties, but stayed guarded on romance and personal pain. That curation showed a man uncomfortable with true vulnerability, even while building a brand on so-called authenticity. Yes, the accolades piled up: 2 Grammys, 5 Billboard Music Awards, multiple VMAs, but trophies didn't fill the void. Industry recognition couldn't fix the psychological strain or heal the emptiness that haunted him. Instead, the gap widened between his public triumphs and private despair, driving him toward increasingly desperate attention-grabbing moves. His grandmother's passing in 2018, his mother's ongoing addiction battles, and nonstop scrutiny of his sexuality created a storm of instability his team either couldn't or wouldn't address. A February 2025 video where he admitted to pretty difficult years hinted at struggles hidden from fans until they erupted into legal chaos. Career pivots showed the same tunnel vision. He famously turned down a role in Euphoria to focus only on music, a move that proved his commitment, but also blinded him to warning signs about his own unraveling. By refusing to diversify, every release carried crushing pressure to hit impossible cultural and commercial marks. And while he stayed trending online, the numbers told another story. Streaming data showed casual fans quietly drifting away, no longer fueling the kind of dominance Old Town Road once had. The gap between all that online buzz and his actual music streams created a brutal reality check about his true relevance. Insiders say frustration was boiling over. His team couldn't turn viral scandals into long-term success, and labels, agents, and business partners were losing patience. They wanted big returns, but the shock value brand wasn't delivering anymore. That August arrest wasn't just another headline, it was the breaking point. Years of trauma, nonstop pressure, and growing isolation finally crashed together in one devastating moment that fame couldn't cover up. What looked like another stunt turned out to be the collapse of an artist stretched past his limit. Now the question is this just a setback or the end of Lil Nas X's career as we knew it? From viral sensation to felony defendant, his story shows the hidden cost of fame in the social media age. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned to see what's in our hood next.